right now. Okay, that is going live. And I'm going to wait to see this show on my computer. We'll be live on this in just a second. And then once I see that, I'll open up the screen over here. There we are, live now. Click on that. I don't want to see that. Perfect. It's always just to get the thing going over here, that's all. And there's my chat. So that's cool, that's working. And I think we're doing... All right, cool. We already got a couple people watching already. Hey, folks, just give us 1 second. We had to get a couple technical things worked out. Internet's always so much fun. You guys know how these live streams are, right? I mean, they're fun to do, but it's kind of like building a house out of a deck of cards. It's like one sneeze or one thing goes wrong and everything's just like, ah. So we'll make it happen now. All right, cool. Good deal. All right, that's cool. And all right, let's go and let's give this puppy a try over here. Let me just make sure I got one more thing working. Make sure this thing went out to everybody. All right, I'll check my email and I should see a notice saying YouTube, Regular Guy Mountain Biking's live. All right, we are good and we're set. All right, folks. Hey, this is Gene from Regular Guy Mountain Biking, and tonight I was lucky enough to get Aaron from Maxxis to jump on a live stream with me. And tonight we're going to talk about, obviously, tires, right? I mean, we've got Maxxis on the line, so, no big surprise over there. But more importantly, not only just tires, and specifically we'll be spending some time speaking about Maxxis tires, but Aaron, as you would expect, is a guru on tires. So there's things about tires that we're just going to be able to learn as well that, we might have questions about. But before we even get into the questions and the fun stuff and the answers, I just want to first welcome Aaron to the show and, let him say hello. And Aaron, why don't you introduce yourself and let us all know what you do for Maxxis, please. And we got a little bit of a internet hiccup right now. He'll be back. There's Aaron again. There we go. Aaron, we're going to make this happen hell or high water, buddy. I'm telling you, dude. This is how we roll. This is how we roll, guys. We take the bumps. It's all about the bumps.
Regular guys.
Regular guys using like a broadband modem and a dial-up connection, making this shit happen, boy.
Yeah. Regular guys have internet problems.
And beer.
Cheers.
There you go. Good man. Hey, Aaron. Welcome to the show. Why don't you let folks know what you do around here besides IT work on the side?
Yeah, so my name's Aaron. I'm the assistant marketing manager for Maxxis. That's my official title. I basically manage all the marketing efforts for the bicycle side of our brand and the Moto ATV side of the brand as well.
Sweet.
So that's everything from, advertising to working with the media to, representing the brand at events and trade shows and stuff like that, doing video projects. So cool. A lot of cool things.
Well, and so that explains how we met. So folks, I did a couple posts on Instagram and Maxxis was cool enough to respond, which I'm assuming was Aaron, right? And that's how we got connected. Yep, that's how it worked out. So that's pretty cool. It's also nice to know that the companies that we speak to are actually monitoring these social media feeds and responding, because that's exactly how we got connected over Instagram, and lo and behold, here we are talking. So that's pretty freaking cool.
Yeah, well, thanks. Yeah, we have we are a huge company. I think sometimes people maybe think that we're bigger than we are, or that at least the North American office is bigger than it is. We do try to be very responsive, as you yourself found, but we also like to go home on the weekend. So if you send us a direct message through Instagram or something on a Saturday and you don't respond, it's probably because we're at home hanging out or maybe riding bikes.
Yeah, hopefully you're riding your bike, man.
Yeah.
All right. Well, look. Here's the deal.
Try to do as much as possible.
Try to do as much as possible. Yeah, right over here, we've been using our tires as floaties because it just won't freaking stop raining. That's all we get over here. It just keeps raining. Oh, man. All right. Well, look, here's the deal. Let's talk about some tires over here. We've got Aaron from Maxxis on the line, obviously. And the first thing I was kind of hoping we might learn a little bit about is just I hate to say tires in general, but there's an aspect of tires that kind of eludes us sometimes. Things like the compounds and is it, you have different tires on your website, and you have the name. You'll have something like I got your site up over here, where you'll have like the Ardent, and then you'll have the Ardent Race, or you'll have tires, and you'll have the race version of the tires. So yeah. I have to tell you, tires are not the cheapest thing to buy for your bike. You don't want to get it wrong. Yeah. And a lot of times you say, oh, it's the best tire ever, because you kind of feel committed because you bought the damn thing and you put it on. So let's try to make the odds in our favor now and learn a little bit from you. If we can just start from that and build the foundation up, then we can learn more about your tires themselves. Is that cool?
Sure. So, the most basic elements of a tire, you have the casing, you have the beads, and then you have the tread pattern. And so those are the basic elements that make up a tire. And obviously, like, the tread pattern can really be anything, because when you're assembling a tire and you have the casing by itself, it just looks like a giant slick. So it's kind of a blank slate at that point. It's just whatever extrusion gets put on it. It looks like an ardent. So we have a ton of tires, and we basically, even within those tires, we just have a ton of options. And we realize it can get confusing, a ton of attention to the equipment. I ride with plenty of folks that are faster than me, and they probably couldn't change a flat or tell you what brand rear derailleur they have. It's basically just all those different things we offer. There's various puncture protections. There's there are different compounds. We have single compound tires, we have dual compound tires, and then triple compound tires. That would be like the highest end offering that we have. So, it's basically just like a menu of tread patterns and then a menu of all these other options. So it's kind of like at the most basic level, you'll have like a wire bead tire, and then go into a folding bead tire is going to bump the price up a little bit, lower the weight as well. Going to a different compound is going to perform better in, certain conditions. And those are all things that, take more manufacturing skill and, more work. So that's why you see the difference in prices between, you could see a Minion that costs, maybe $55, then you see it's maybe almost $90. And that's kind of what it, it's like, maybe even a better, analog for it is like thinking about a car. You have like a base model. Accord is $25,000, and you start adding options to it, and all of a sudden it's a $40,000 car, but it's still an Accord.
But now all those options, and just we're having some internet issues over here. I think it might be me on my side because the stream starts and stops. So we're just we'll see how we go with it, and we'll make the best of how things are working. But I'm also assuming that there's also a cost and a weight difference. Like, as there's more plies, the tire might be more expensive, but also might weigh more. So you kind of have to get, besides the tread and the tire that you want, you are getting the right ply and the right weight for the right application of what you're trying to do with these things. Yeah.
So when we refer to plies, we talk about like the actual casing material. It's a single ply of our casing material is 60 TPI, or the higher end is 120 TPI. The way other companies do it is they say, like, you have your casing, and so, like, let's say you start with a 60 TPI, then you fold it over, like when you construct the tire. Trying to think of a good visual for it. So if you imagine like a sheet, and then the other side of the paper over, that's essentially how the casing, like the carcass of a tire, gets made. So we call that, if we start with a 60 TPI, that's what we finish with, is a 60 TPI tire. So it's 60 TPI folded over once, twice, 3 times. So you have 3 layers of 60 TPI. Some companies will call that 180 TPI because they're saying that, you know, it's that 60 TPI casing, but it's folded over on itself twice. So they're going 60, 120, 180. To me, that's a little disingenuous because that's like taking a $20 bill and folding it in half and saying, yeah, $40, right? Like, that's not.
Doesn't work that way.
Like, no. Try to pay a pizza guy like that. It's not going to fly.
Gotcha.
So when we talk about plies, we do have dual ply tires, but we started out offering downhill tires or 60 TPI dual ply. So you take one layer of casing, another layer of casing on top, and then you do that same thing where I'm talking about, you fold over one side, you fold over the other side.
Mm-hmm.
So you end up with, that's why you can really feel the difference in between how stiff a casing of a downhill tire is compared to a single ply. And then we have our double down, which is kind of more like an enduro trail-oriented casing. And it's the same concept. We take two plies, but we use our 120 TPI casing, which is inherently lighter since they're smaller threads. And so you get a lot of the durability of going to a downhill tire, but you save quite a bit of weight by switching from the 60 TPI to the 120. So all that to say, just when you're talking about plies, we have single ply tires, which are, your everyday trail tires, which most riders are on.
Mm-hmm.
Probably 90% of the tires we sell are single ply. Maybe a little less than that. We do quite a bit of downhill.
Right.
But the vast majority of people are on single ply tires. I think what you're referring to and what can kind of get a little confusing is like all the puncture protection options that we have. So we have various puncture protections, all with different names. But what you really want to understand is that there's three main places that you can have puncture protection, right? So you can have it just in the sidewalls, and that's most common on our mountain bike tires. That's the exo protection. So that's in this added material that goes on either sidewall. If you see it, it kind of looks almost like a fruit roll up, like it's this like kind of like sticky, stretchy. You can like pull it and then it goes back to its original shape a little bit. So it's like this rubberized nylon fabric, and we put that in the sidewalls. It increases weight a little bit. It's going to increase your sidewall stiffness a little bit over a tire that doesn't have it. But it's really going to increase your durability in terms of pinch flats, in terms of if you ride in an area, like you be an East Coast guy like me, like lots of roots and rocks, like you're constantly dragging your sidewalls over stuff. That's why we always recommend, unless you're just chasing grams, like go for the XO option. It's usually only $2 to $3 more per tire, if that. So, and then, for a 29er, I think you're talking 50 grams, maybe 60 grams per tire. So definitely worth it unless you're just trying to build the, absolute lightest ride you can.
Yeah. Well, again, we're kind of regular guys. We want to make sure the bike works over the weekend.
Yeah.
I'm not worried about a few grams. I'd rather have it. Now, is this exo protection available on all your tires or only select some of them?
Just about. Pretty much all of them.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Pretty much our full mountain line is going to be available with exo.
Mm-hmm.
So that's one location. So we have the sidewalls where you can have your puncture protection, and then we also offer bead to bead. So that's a puncture protection layer that runs like it sounds all the way from bead to bead. So that means it goes up the sidewalls, underneath the tread, and then back down to the other bead. And then the third place that you could possibly have a puncture protection layer is what's commonly referred to as a breaker, and that is what goes underneath the tread. So that would just be underneath, where the tread is, not on the sidewalls. And then obviously, you could have any combination of those things. Like one of the new puncture protection options that we debuted at Eurobike just last month, we're calling Exo Plus. It's basically combining our Exo, which is the sidewall puncture protection, combining that with our silk shield, which runs from bead to bead.
Damn.
So you're getting a bead to bead layer and that exo on the sidewalls. And it's kind of in between like our exo tires that we currently have and like the double down. So again, it's just like another option out there. And it's a lot of it was from OE original equipment. So like, you know, the brands that we
go live again. Let's see what happens.
Cause you're looking clear to me, and then you just froze, and I was talking, and I was like, oh, it's not there.
Let me see if it's working now. Ask what's going on. Way to go, Gene. Now owe me a new bike for my time. All right.
It's ambitious.
All right, working. Yay, it's working. All right. All right, guys, I don't know. Look, I have no what the hell's going on. It works. Obviously, after we're done talking to Aaron, I have to talk to my internet provider. It's back on. And damn. Oh, guys, like it's not hard enough to get some of these things to going. All right, so everyone's back on again. Going to have to be a hell of a lot of editing to clean this sucker up, huh? All right, well.
I don't envy you on that.
No, not so much. So anyway, what I was saying before I lost you was now you can see why I wanted to have this call, because you're talking about topics, dude, that I didn't even know you had. Like when all I thought was the sidewall was a little bit thicker than the other one, and you had softer or harder rubber compound. And I thought that was it, dude. Now you're going into, well, you got this puncture protection, that puncture protection. We got, fruit roll-ups around the inside. I mean, and I'm like, holy crap. All right. Well, here, let me do this real quick. To be fair to the folks that were watching over here, let me ask you just a couple questions real fast over here before the whole thing craps to bed on me again. First of all,
sure.
Are you going to make more tan sidewalls?
Yeah, we're always looking at expanding that.
Hear that? All right, Andy? Good. See, yeah. Andy loves those things. They look hot. He loves that style. All right. My buddy, the Lone Ranger wants to know if you're going to be at Crankworks.
Yes.
All right.
Come by.
There you go.
We're giving away all kinds of goodies for anyone that's going to be at Crankworks. Come by.
There we go. Okay. So beautiful. All right. Question for Aaron. Why not make all the tires in the various combos and cases of combos? Okay, well, yeah, one of the things is this, and I can understand where this comment's coming from. The question is, can you make all the tires with these various... You've got a lot of combinations, and Loam says he'll see you there, So
all right.
Keep an eye out for the Lone Ranger. Ryan will be there. Good guy, doing crazy stuff. I would have to assume it would be borderline impossible for you, or at least financially impossible for Maxxis to have all the tires with all the combinations. That being said, to be fair to the question, how do you pick? Like I mean, because obviously there's some that the Flying Tiger might want, and because there you go, Maxxis is his first choice, which it is for a lot of people. I'm not trying to kiss up to anybody, but I didn't have these bikes lined up behind me like that for any other special reason than to show you that, this is what Minions. My God, that's what. This is what we do. So back to the question: how the hell do you pick which one to set up all these things?
Yeah, well, honestly, I mean, a lot of it comes down to the application of the tire and like it making sense. Like we could do. Again, not to go too deep into the weeds, but we offer triple compound tires, right? And then even within that, we have 3 different formulas of our triple compound. So we have our 3C Max Speed, our 3C Max Terra, and our 3C Max Grip. So the Max Speed, obviously, by the name, you can probably tell it's aimed at your like cross-country rider. The Max Terra is just kind of a good all-around trail compound. And then the Max Grip, obviously, is going to prioritize grip. So you could, and those have to deal with like the different durometers of rubber that are in there. And that is like how hard or soft in very simplistic terms. I know my engineers are probably going to be like, no, how hard or soft the rubber is, how fast or slow it rebounds, like all those things, are properties that we can change by like, doing our little magic recipes. So we could do, for instance, we could take an XC tire like the Icon, and we could make it in a 3C Max grip, but those knobs are tiny, so you're not talking. There's not a lot of real estate to put rubber on there, and then you're going to put like the softest rubber that we offer on that. It's going to wear super fast.
Yeah.
You know, you're gonna do like one race on that, and then the tire is going to be toast. So. Really it comes down to application and, you know, also what our customers want. And that's both like, you know, the aftermarket, the end users that are, you know, going to their local bike shop or like ordering online. You know, if we're making a certain spec of a tire and we see, you know, after a season or two, like, look, we've got these things sitting in the warehouse, like they're not moving, like, obviously we don't need to worry about making this particular spec, but
I got you.
Yeah, so it kind of just goes, and there is some like weird blurring of the lines too, I will say, like going back to the Icon, it is a cross country tire, but, we had, some of our racers, particularly, Richie Rude, on the Yeti, you know, races EWS, kind of just known just being like, you know, freakishly strong, lumberjack strength, just smashes everything. We wanted something fast rolling. We made the Minion semi-slick, and he was like, all right, this is good, but like I want something even faster. And he asked us if we could make a double down Icon. So we did. So we made like a 2-ply Icon starting out just for our teams. And then we're like, well, you know, like, enough people saw him on it. He won some races on it, and you know other people started asking for it. So that's a spec that we offer now.
That's cool. And I'm getting thumbs up from people over here that use the Icon. You know, I got people that like that Icon tire. I think my buddy Joe rides that one. It's a good tire, right? So I mean, you know, I guess you have to go and take a look at what's going on, and bet on that horse, right? I mean, you can only do so much. Some of the things, this is completely not applicable, but would there ever be the ability to make it an add-on thing that a user could put inside of the tire? Could you make this a module feature that people could? I mean, obviously you can't make the compound of the tire modular. It is what it is. Yeah. But could you have these multiple protections be something? I'm just asking because I don't know. You know, how many times do I get to talk to Maxis? Once. So
yeah. You know, like I wouldn't want to say never, but it is
right.
You know, you're talking about like I've had the opportunity to visit our factory in Taiwan where all our stuff is made, and it's one of the coolest things like I've ever seen. I've just always kind of nerded out on manufacturing anyway. But, I mean, there is a massive amount of work that goes into each tire, you know, and the cool thing about like the factory there is you get to see it all. You get to see, you know, like the Kevlar being wrapped up into beads, and the steel wire comes on a huge spool, and then those get wrapped and then cut to whatever size they need to be, and then bundled, and that becomes the bead of a tire, and so on. So, I mean, it's not, you know, it's not entirely impossible, but, you know, it would, I don't think we're there, anytime in the near future.
I just figured what the hell I'll ask. You know, why not?
Yeah.
So let me run this one by you. Like I was talking about before, tires are getting wider. When I first started, I think I was using WTB Velociraptor. That was my tire back in the day, all right?
Oh, yeah.
And
a lot of people's tire.
That was, and it, you know, it did the job, but 2.3, you know, like that was as big as I would ever go. And you could feel it taking more time to anything bigger than that. It was slow, you know?
Yeah.
Now, you know, 2.5s, 2.8s. Is it the bike? Is it the tire technology? Is it a marriage of them both? Because we're not going smaller. We're only going bigger. I'm looking at a lot of the questions. People are like, when's this coming in with his 2.8? I love my Minion 2.8. You know, or my Recon. I mean, they're not going small, you know?
No. It is. It's a marriage of the two things. So I think a lot of it is, it is the bikes. What I always say is like, people, they're riding faster, they're riding harder. Like people in general are just riding better.
Mm-hmm.
I go to local trail systems here around Atlanta where I live, and I see teenagers just absolutely crushing it. Like it's awesome to see. So the bikes are getting way more capable, and then everything else just has to keep up with that. That's why you're seeing, unless you're on like a straight up cross country bike, like when's the last time you saw like a fork of 32 millimeter stanchions?
Yeah,
Like,
right, exactly.
Everybody, like everything's gotten bigger. Everything's gotten bigger. Everything's gotten lighter. We've figured out certain ways to cut little bits away from our tires. On the whole, like the whole package has gotten lighter. You've seen people more willing to kind of like spend some of that weight, if you will, that they saved on maybe like, a carbon frame or something like that on wider tires, wider rims, and the performance benefits that they offer is kind of hard to argue with, Maybe you don't really care about beating the clock on the uphills, then, why not carry, push a little bit bigger tire, carry a few extra grams, but like have way more confidence and
totally,
way more grip on the way back down.
Get that traction, durability, the whole thing. Sure, man. Sure. All right, and as always, as we start to get into the meat of things and things are going good, my internet's shit in the bed again. You're all squishy. So we're just taking these punches left and right. I feel like a punching bag tonight over here. Well, let me run this way because I don't know how long this is going to last again with the way this thing is working over here. I'm getting questions for, can you tell me the best tire for this? Can you tell me the best tire for that? So I sent you a couple questions before just on categories. Yeah. So again, there is no best tire for everything because it's just it's still also up to users' perspective. But if we went with those three categories as a regular dude, let's talk about cross country, free ride, and downhill. These are we're all regular guys. We're not looking at grams. We're looking at making sure it's not going to blow out on us. We're ready for the weekend because we get one freaking day a week to ride. Let's take those three categories. What do you see go along with that?
Sure. So I guess starting at the kind of XC end of the spectrum, it's hard to touch the Icon, honestly. That tire, it's been around for a few years now, but it's won everything. It's won countless World Cups. It's won, stage races. It's been on the back of Richie Rude's bike for Enduro World Series races. Brandon Semenuk's ridden the Icon to multiple joyride victories at Crankworks. The list goes on and on and on. So I still ride the Icon fairly regularly, at least as a rear tire around here in the summer. Mm-hmm. What I like about the Icon is, it doesn't have the biggest knobs. We do offer it in a variety of sizes, and kind of like as you go wider, we scale the knobs up, like commensurate with the width.
That's cool. That's cool.
Yeah. So like when if you compare like a Icon 2.2 to like Icon 2.35, you're going to notice that all the knobs are substantially larger on the 2.35. But what I will say, like above everything, like the Icon is just predictable. Mm-hmm. Like, it's got a nice smooth transition when you're going from the center tread, leaning over to either side. Before it totally gives way at the very edge, like it kind of like telegraphs a little bit, so you can know like, okay, like I'm starting to lose traction, I need to back off here, or like I'm losing traction, this is awesome, this probably looks cool, like take the picture, Tony,
I love it.
Exactly. So the Icon's really good for, and that's kind of just like true XC riding. I would also kind of in the XC light trail category, I'd definitely recommend the Recon, which actually started
that was on the chat. People were talking about the Recon as well. Yep.
It's an awesome tire. I'll tell you what, like it started out as a plus tire. And then we kind of started it there and then moved it down to different widths and diameters. And it's an awesome tire. I will say, like, it has the predictability of the Icon. It doesn't roll quite as fast. Obviously, it's slightly more aggressive, so you're not gonna have as much rolling speed, but super predictable. And yeah, it just works in a broad range of conditions. Just a good all around light duty trail tire. And I like it. I always like to tell people, like, you know, when we were starting this conversation, you know, like, a lot of it is personal preference.
Sure,
right? Like,
totally.
What do you like? And everyone that knows me knows, like, the Ardent and I don't get along. Like, I've never liked the Ardent. I just can't get on with that tire. I mean, it's okay as a rear tire. And it was kind of ahead of its time. It was kind of one of the earlier, like, trail-ish tires, something in between, like, your Icon and your Minion. So I always encourage people who've been riding the Ardent, like the Ardent, try the Recon. I think it does everything better than the Ardent. And we offer it in a bunch more configurations than we do the Ardent. So
yeah, and that's I got a buddy over here, Mr. Do It with McKinnison. We always get these long YouTube names, Mine's RGMTB. Like this. Anyway, I think the Recon sounds like something that's going to be a pretty good all around, front, rear.
Yeah.
You got it in different sizes. I'm getting other people saying they like it as well. That sounds like a good tire to check out.
Yeah. And then just, going more aggressive from there. I mean, anywhere from, as much as I kind of get annoyed with the term enduro, like anywhere like above the Recon, the Minion just reigns supreme.
Come on,
exactly. You can run it. We offer it everywhere from like a 2.3 up to we have the fat bike version of it. So we offer like a,
oh, you do?
A 4.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah. So
damn,
it comes in everything from like a 2.3 to like a 4-inch. So, the Minion, that one, it's the reference tire for gravity or aggressive trail riding, however you want to frame it. I mean, it's just hard to top the Minion. And we offer that one in so many sizes, so many different spec options. We have, the single ply, we have dual ply. So if you are, full on riding downhill, it's really hard to go against a DHF. It's another, again, I think,
and that's what people are saying over here. It's like literally 732 MTB. Andy's like, hands down, we all know DHF. Yeah. That's the front tire. So we'll touch a little bit on when you start considering a different front and rear tire. But like the things you're saying, people are already posting it over here already. That's when I keep looking over here, the chats over here. They're just totally agreeing with you. It's like, this is kind of cool to see that. Well, I guess, you know what? That's cool for you to know that what you're saying is what they're saying first. So that's just good takeaway for you that these people agree with exactly what you're talking about, which is great to know that it's all working, right? I mean, that's awesome.
Yeah. That's good to hear. I think again, all these tires that I suggested, between the Icon, the Recon, and the DHF, kind of, being the regular guy, and I'm, a regular dude out there riding too, like, you just want consistency. And I think, again, that's what all three of these tires really offer for their respective spots in the lineup is just consistency. Like the Icon, cross-country conditions, super consistent. Recon, light trail, super consistent. DHF, it's not the fastest rolling. It's probably not the best cornering, but, it doesn't have the best braking. But like when you combine those three attributes, like every tire is going to be a compromise of some sort.
Right.
And that's one thing we get a lot of these comments. So if anyone's making them, save your fingers, the exercise. People are always like, why don't you make a 2.7 Minion that, grips you know, it's
Right.
super 3C, like the tackiest rubber you have, but then also make it weigh like 300 grams.
Mm-hmm.
You're like, well, if we could do that, we totally would. Like,
Yeah,
trust me.
let me call my
We'd
buddy
love to
Harry
do that.
Potter and snag his wand here
Yeah.
for a minute and see if I can whip something up, because you're asking
Yeah.
for something that's going to be relatively hard, if not impossible, to pull off.
Oh, it's impossible.
Yeah.
For sure. So yeah, like, but the Minion, you know, taking those three things, so like your rolling speed, your cornering traction, your braking traction, like where those overlap, you know, that little Venn diagram, like that's the Minion. So other tires in our lineup, even, you know, other brands, we compare other brands to the Minion. Other brands compare their tires to the Minion. We compare our own tires to the Minion. So it's like, okay, you know, we have the DHF and we have the DHR2 now. Like,
Right. That's they were just saying
rolls,
that. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It rolls a little bit better than the DHF and brakes a little bit better than the DHF, but like it doesn't do as well in the wet and the mud as the DHF does. You know, there's always a trade-off. But if you live somewhere, you know, maybe in the Southwest or something like that, where like mud, wet conditions aren't really ever a concern for you,
Good point.
then DHR2's fine. So that's going to be your go-to tire. But yeah, I mean, as far as it goes, like DHF, you know, if we had two tires in our catalog, they'd probably both be DHFs.
Now, how does this whole thing work? So DHF, I'm going to take a stab at downhill front tire. I mean, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
You got it.
Yay, way to go, Gene. You know?
Yeah.
Mr. Acronym. But, okay, so now I've got my front tire. Like, when do you start matching? You read some of the forums and people, I like to use this one in the front and that one in the back. Again, total personal preference, but
Yep.
there's a big cost involved in buying all these tires, plus the changing of them, the sealant. Then when you empty to get the sealant, you get the crap all over the garage. So it's not that easy for us regular dudes to play puzzle over here and mix and match them. So what do you look for? When do you go with a bigger front tire and a smaller rear tire, other than the fact that I have more room in my fork than on my frame? You know, like how do you mix this stuff?
Yeah. Again, totally personal preference. I pretty much always run a wider front than a rear. You know, part of that is just having that extra room up front. And, you know, you get a little bit better, a little less fatigue, you know, if you're bashing through a bunch of technical terrain. If you're running a wider front tire, you can run even lower pressure. You know, obviously you're typically running less pressure in the front than the rear anyway. So you go to even wider tire, you can drop that pressure a little bit more, saves your hands, saves your wrists, you know, improves your traction. And then the real reason you want to go narrower on the rear is, you know, because human powered.
Now the internet's breaking up right now. The internet's breaking up right now. The minute you said the reason why you'd use a rear tire is, I'm like, shit. He's answering the question, and now so we lost you on that. You were just about ready to say the reason why you'd go with a smaller tire in the rear, and then I just
yes.
Damn it, man.
Okay, you got me back. We good?
I'm back, buddy. Oh, Aaron, I'm killing myself.
Good. Yeah. So the reason you'd want to run a narrower rear is because, you know, you're the motor for the bike, right? You know, even with an e-bike, you're still most of the motor, I guess. So you want something that's going to be easier to turn over, you know, quicker to get up to speed. And in a lot of ways, like traction from the rear is a little less important, right? Like as long as your front tire, you know, your front tire is what's driving the bike. You know, that's why your handlebars are up there. And as long where it needs to go, eventually the rear end of the bike is going to come around and join the front of the bike in glorious, you know, harmony. Hopefully, otherwise you crash. So you don't necessarily need, and you know, again, this is kind of more ideal trail conditions. You don't necessarily need as much grip out of the rear as you do out of the front. Again, compromise, right? Like you're like, I'm willing to sacrifice a little bit of grip so that I can, ride 20 miles, 10 of which are going to be uphill on this really grueling climb.
Mm-hmm.
So, in the winter, I generally run, wide tires, front and rear. You're going a little bit slower, maybe a little bit heavier, kind of in hibernation mode. Maybe your rides are shorter and the weather's crappier, trails are wetter. So you kind of want to prioritize traction, right? You want to prioritize that traction. You want to prioritize that comfort. So then in the winter, I typically run something like a high roller 2 on the rear and then a DHF on the front. And then in the summer, things dry out. Trails are getting more hard pack. But again, being on the East Coast, you never know when it's going to rain on you. So I don't necessarily, me personally, don't want to sacrifice all that grip. So that's why I typically leave something super knobby on the front, but then I'll switch out to an Icon or an Ardent Race or something similar on the rear to speed things up a little bit.
But still keep maybe a larger front tire for that grip.
Oh yeah.
And maybe go with a little lesser in the back. Gotcha. That's an interesting
not a huge
point.
Difference. I usually run 2.5 front and maybe typically anymore unless I'm doing an endurance race or something like that. Mm-hmm. The narrowest I'll go is a 2.3. Mm-hmm. So that's just personal preference. Again, that's my personal preference.
Gotcha. That's cool. Well, look, let me scroll through a couple of these questions over here because, like I said, we're kind of biding our time over here before.
I know they're trying to shut down your pirate radio station here.
Jesus Christ, I'm killing them here. We have more fun. Okay, gotcha. A lot of it was when do you go big in the front? Do you always go big in the front and small in the back? It really is more up to what's going on. I said, a lot of it's personal preference over here. A lot of these questions are also just things that they're all agreeing with you. Yeah, I have a Minion DHF on the front wheel. He's got a 26-inch bike, but that's what Kevin's running. A lot of these things are just people just agreeing with you, man. Folks, why do we even do this show? You already know everything already over here, guys. This is awesome.
Yeah.
All right. Well, look,
everybody just saying Minion DHF.
Yeah, everybody just that's it. We just need a bunch of minions. That's all, man. That's great.
Yeah.
All right, folks, let's do this. Let's wrap this up on a good note where I can actually say thank you and goodbye to Aaron and not a puzzly Max Headroom face and actually make it go through. So, Aaron, I apologize for the internet. This is killing me over here. I've been looking so forward to doing this with you, and I'm sweating bullets over here, just dying because I'm embarrassed, but I wanted to hang out with you and talk. I can't thank you enough. I have all these people asking questions. They're all like, Aaron, thumbs up. Thanks so much. So you got huge props over here. They love you, They love you, man.
Well, get that fiber installed and maybe we can do this, maybe revisit this again in the fall.
Damn straight. Winter's coming. We'll get ready for our tires. Yep, we got to wait till you get back. You got stuff going on the road. Yeah. We'll do another one of these later on, getting ready for the winter tires and stuff like that. But still, dude, look, man, major props. Thanks so much for getting back to me on Instagram.
For sure.
Thank you so much for doing with this. And as you can see, people, they agree with you. Everyone loves you. And this for nothing. I mean, everyone is generally very polite that's on these things. But still, these comments are they're already using Max's tires. So Max's is really where it is. So you doing this just makes them even happier that they picked the right company to buy their tires from.
Awesome. Well, I really appreciate the support, everybody. We try to do the best for all the riders out there. So, thanks for choosing Max's. Thanks for having me on. Thanks for reaching out, and let's do this again.
We sure will. Hey, folks, keep the party on the pedals. We'll catch you guys later on. I'll see you in the trails. Aaron, thanks you again, and we'll catch you later on. Have a good night, everybody. Bye-bye.
Later, Gene.